The Santa rally rolls on with equities and crypto pumping today. We're going to be discussing that, the latest in Asia, the implication of France's government collapsing, and much more today on Money Never Sleeps. Thanks for joining us today, folks. As we get going, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Remember, nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice, so please do your own research for making any buys or sells. Kev, we are seeing a bounce in the markets after remarks from Powell that the economy is remarkably strong. Meanwhile, a vote of no confidence over in France has a little bit of turmoil for the euro. More in like the South Korea situation and everything going on over there. It's been a really weird week. I am not smart enough to comment on a lot of these, on many things, but especially on the stuff in France and South Korea. So if you have takes there, if you're read up on that, go for it. But how are you feeling overall about the markets today?
Yeah, here's the thing. You could always say seasonality is the reason why things are pushing up a lot higher. The indicators continue to be extremely lopsided. We'll take a look at the VIX in a little bit. In really good conditions for chaos, and then you start seeing a lot of these headlines. I think everything does boil down to the global economy, global markets. That's why what we saw in South Korea is an interesting move. I don't necessarily think it's political. I think it's more economic, in my opinion. I think the stuff that's going on in France is probably a little bit more economic as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Germany has very similar problems, in the coming weeks, because we know that their economy is slowing down. Things like this tend to happen when you start to see that, okay, we are losing jobs, we are getting job revisions, and the markets are doing the complete opposite. So it's a little stressful if you're in the market, or if you're short the market. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. However, there are things there that are definitely problematic. And, you mentioned the euro being, having issues. I think what happened in France today and whatever happens in Germany, because obviously Germany is one of the largest economies in the world, whatever happens in these two countries that affects the euro, affects more than just the euro. It 100% just goes back to the yen carry trade, right? If the euro starts to weaken, the dollar starts to weaken, and then the yen starts to take off like crazy. We also saw that the dong yesterday weakened a little bit, which is the Vietnamese currency. It's just a great name. I had to bring it up, And the other one was
bring up the dong, don't you?
The Korean won also lost a ton of value yesterday upon what happened in South Korea with martial law. So it's a very interesting place for the Japanese yen. You're seeing NVDA pump today. I think that's helping them out a little bit. But time is running out in terms of these currencies. We're just in an absolute currency shortage. Some are getting stronger, some are getting weaker. But the problem is you don't want to see the yen get stronger here. It is the same exact setup as we saw in July. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get another yen carry trade unwind. Maybe it's not this month, maybe it's next month, but it's certainly around the corner.
All I know is that yen carry trade unwind gave me a great entry back in for more Bitcoin that I have written up since then. So I got cash set aside. I'm ready to buy the dip. I think a big.
Did you see?
Go ahead.
Did you see what happened in the Korean crypto exchange market?
No.
Bitcoin, when the won dropped in value and the martial law, in a matter of, I think it was like 2 minutes, Bitcoin went from 94,000 on in the exchange all the way down to 71,000. So people might panic. You might get quick liquidation if something stupid like that happens.
You have some, maybe set some buy orders down that low just on the off chance. But I think also the announcement today from Trump that he's selected Paul Atkins, who's very crypto friendly, to be the next SEC chair is definitely helping sentiment and people's willingness to put more money into the markets. I mean, we're seeing Bitcoin rallying today back over 97K at about 97,450 at the moment. ETH is back over 3,800 for the first time since June. So some positive movement there. I think we're going to see 4K ETH before too long, and we're Bitcoin dominance approaching 55 on the move down right now, just with how much the alts are doing. Link is around 25, AVAX almost at 55. So, total 2, total 3 are doing quite well at the moment. Why don't you go ahead? You brought up the chart for Tron. That doesn't look too fun. Give me your take there.
Tell me why Tron is going up this much. Is it because this asshole bought a banana? Can you believe that too? That banana painting that was worth $5 million. My dad was telling me about it. He was like, yeah, some guy just bought like a $5.5 million painting. I'm like, oh yeah. And then Twitter, look, and the guy turns around, it's fucking Justin's son. You know how pissed off I was? That's the biggest slap in everyone's face. But that being said, look at how much this thing is shot up. Does anyone give a shit about Tron? Did the Lindsay Lohan NFTs take off on the Tron network so much that it went to 40 something cents the other day? Give me a fuck break. I'm sorry. This is me ranting. This isn't necessarily not financial advice. This isn't even like any type of cohesive statement that I'm saying right here about Tron or a technical analysis. I'm just saying, fuck this shit. Look at this, how much it's shot up. It's absolutely insane. So if you're short, somewhere around like the 20-cent range, well, you got fucked because that shit went all the way up to about 45 cents. And then look, it comes straight back down, right? Now, again, could this continue to go up? Yeah, absolutely. We know that Justin Sun and USDT, definitely there are some correlations between the two, as there was with CZ. The interesting thing, too, when we talk about all the crimes that have happened within the crypto markets, all of the types of, sentences that people got, it is so interesting to see that Alex Mashinsky gets 30 years and some of these other fuckers get like a shit ton of time. It's SBF 25 years, and then you look at CZ and you got 4 months.
Let's talk TradFi real quick because there's one, like the move on BNB the last few days has been crazy too. Like we gotta bring. I know with your distaste for CZ, we need to bring up the chart for BNB. But let's go. What in the TradFi world has got your attention? I mean, we had the statement from Powell today. We've seen more soft manufacturing data that has gotten more people expecting, rate cuts to continue I think that was the plan the whole time. But what has caught your eye in TradFi? And then we can get into the fun crypto stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. S&P, just looking at this right here. And this is an update. This is nothing necessarily like verbatim. The level that we picked earlier on was 6,080. That was one that we talked about, I think, when it broke 6,000. And for the first time, it hit it. It's right at it right now. I'm not saying that it can't go up any higher, probably could, but I just want to pull this fractal so that we can all take a look and see this. It's very similar. It's very much adding up, and I'm going to go in here a little bit further. Where you see this yellow circle, you had this pullback back here, and then you pushed up, you had another pullback, and then you had the final push up in the rally. This is the rally from into February 2020. And it's a very similar fractal, very similar place. We're also seeing, liquidity drain in a similar rate. I'm not saying we're going to get a massive crash out there, but what I'm saying is this is why volatility might be picking up a little bit here, right? We're looking at 45,000 for the Dow, continues to push up. Obviously, I had a bunch of these fractals in there. And then you see the NASDAQ today at 21,465. Everything is at all-time highs, very similar to how it was in February of 2020, right? And the thing that we've always talked about was it's not going to be a correction or a slow bleed. It's probably going to be a crash that catches people a lot of people offside. Now, there are things out there in the world that are really being impacted. Like the other day, the DAX hits 20,000 for the first time, and today it was up 215 points, 1.08%, breaking out kind of this wedge pattern. Now, this could be an absolute fake out, or this could be the start of a new bull market. I don't necessarily know if Europe's going to go into a bull market given what's happening there right now, that the euro is probably going to see some devaluing in a few days. Right now it's up, but we can also see how much it's dropped since its heyday back in September. It's a continuous drop. And it's one that we continue to expect, right? If anything bad were to happen in Europe, if, say, Germany's economy starts to fail, you're going to lose this trend line here at 104, and you're probably going to come down somewhere around the 99 to 95 cent range. It's a little box area right there. What would that entail? That would entail other currencies obviously getting stronger. Like I said, the yen carry trade. The yen, I think there is a lot of room to this downside. I think we're going to go back to 141 if something bad were to happen with one of those currencies outside of it. The dollar starts to lose value or strength. the euro itself. I think it's going to be a really fast, quick wick. It's not necessarily going to be something that, something that lasts like a few days, but probably right here in July, towards the end of July. It's a very similar setup. So we're going to keep an eye on some of the things that are going on in TradFi. You are absolutely just taking off in every direction for Apple. Apple broke out of this wedge pattern straight to the upside. Amazon, Jeff Bezos was selling at 200. He looks like an idiot now. I don't think he is. Coinbase breaking out here.
Buddy, all that TRT was not going to pay for itself. Like he needed, the new girlfriend, she needs her stuff. He needs his steroids. Like, got to sell sometimes.
Yeah, he's just living his best life, isn't he? I got nothing to say on Jeff Bezos. I'm a constant Amazon shopper. Looking at this here, though, NVIDIA, this is the one I kind of wanted to take a look at. Out of nowhere, there's been demand for NVIDIA. It's up 3.79%. Maybe it's Jim Cramer coming out and getting all teary-eyed last night talking about how this is the future of AI. This is such a great night for AI. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the moment when he has that Facebook moment when, NVIDIA sells off a little bit because obviously we expect some type of correction. And then he's just like, I'm sorry, I got the trade wrong. And he's sniffling on MSNBC. I'm waiting for that, but in the 2025 edition. And then you see Tesla, like everything is near all-time highs or it's very close to it. But we're seeing insiders not buy. We're seeing, if anything, insiders sell and sell a lot of value, right? We saw one person that was a huge contributor to Tesla, obviously held a lot of stock, saying that he's preparing for 1929 conditions, so he's going to de-risk a lot of his shares. It's fine. It's a lot of hedging. You're going to see a lot of hedging from these institutions because, again, there's only one way to hedge for a market. It's to the downside. You never hedge to the upside, right? It seems like that's the case. It's been the case since 2023 to 2024, something that even I have had to learn the hard way at times. But that's kind of where we are at TradFi. Everything keeps pushing up. We continue to see it just be extremely strong, oil. And then you get certain things like commodities that are just at critical levels, like currencies, oil. You can see gold is also not nearly as strong as it was back in October. However, we're putting in a lower high. We wait to see if some of these things roll over. If they roll over, then, all hell is probably going to break loose in some of those markets. Outside of that, the last thing I did want to talk about, and then we could just jump over into crypto because that's more fun, is the VIX. Now, I've been charting the VIX, obviously, and we wait for these, lower highs, lower lows, and they kind of consolidate into these triangle patterns. This is the yen carry trade that blew up back in August. It was right at the end of July, and we're at the lowest level since July, which is really interesting considering all the problems that are happening with the currencies. It seems like the trade unwound for a few months and things did not get better. But the fact that I'm charting this right here, this is the key thing. We broke above this trend line. We are finding it. We're putting it in. Broke above it, came below it, broke above it again. And instead of breaking below it to invalidate everything that we kind of talk about when it comes to charting the VIX, since November 19th, we have been riding this trend line and not going below it. It's been 100%. Every open, every close is on this trend line. If it's below it, the next day it is right above it, and it's been hugging it. Now, this is really interesting too because usually you do get a back test before you see some type of move to the upside. Obviously, we had out of it here, came under, continued to stay within it, and then broke above it. Finally, one back test that just absolutely was negated by the following days towards the end of July, and volatility picked up. Volatility, in my opinion, is going to be fairly soon extremely oversold. Also, there's going to be a lot of momentum indicators that are going to be flipping over. If I look at this on the Bollinger Bands on the daily, there is what we're looking for, right? We're seeing the two claws of the Bollinger Bands come in. The closer these get, the more you expect a violent move. Now, that violent move could be a quick wick down to 10, and then next thing you know, the next day it's at 18. It's very possible. It really depends on what's going on in the world, what happens in the markets. If there's anyone willing to buy the market to prevent volatility from being pushed to the downside, being crushed, or if there's, say there's a huge amount of demand for treasuries, I would be surprised to see this start to pump up significantly. We know that as treasuries continue to go up, volatility is going to go down because people aren't piling into them. They're not going to get into that. They're going to put their money into equity where there's a higher percentage rate of, obviously, you buy NVIDIA in 2023 as opposed to buying treasuries in 2023. You can make a lot more in NVIDIA. So that's why when we see treasury issuance, the VIX goes down. It's a crush. Janet Yellen does that. I'm not saying her specifically, but just by treasury issuance, that's what happens. So keep an eye on the VIX. I think that if we start to see the bonds start to get bought up, then we should be definitely cautious. And again, I say that because if we look at where the 10-year is right now, come on, internet's slow. It's at 4.18%, right? And it's at the top of this channel. It's either going to break to the upside from it, or it's going to come back down to somewhere around 3.43%. That's just kind of the situation where we're standing at right now. But the Bollinger Bands on that VIX channel, not necessarily the most bullish of cases.
All right, let's go to Bitcoin because it is pumping right now. It just blew through 98K. It's approaching 98.5. ETH is on its way to 3,900. 4K shortly thereafter. I mean, we are flying right now, my man. So we gotta want to look at this like the hourly or whatever, but it's moving.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pushing up significantly. Today it's up 2,500. What is that? 2.73%. Man, back in the old days, that would be like 40% for Bitcoin. But obviously today, higher market caps. Let's see this on the hourly. Yeah, as soon as like Powell starts talking, right? And then, start getting a lot more news about Atkins, or the guy's name's Atkins, right? The new SEC. Yeah. So, interesting stuff there. I'm actually, as we're talking, pulling up Twitter to see if Unusual Whales has announced, or what is it? It's a whale alert, right? They're the ones that I would go to for tether prints, see if anything like that's happened. Interesting. Nothing yet. So maybe this is a little bit more of an organic push to the upside. Maybe people are speculating. So definitely going to be interesting on that. Now, the interesting, I've said interesting like 10 times too in the past 2 minutes because I'm trying to get my words out of my mouth. This is what I want to look at. This is Bitcoin dominance. This has not been interesting. This has been absolutely chaotic because if we look at Bitcoin dominance, since the alt market started pumping, you're down from 61.5 all the way down to 54.57 as of last night. Obviously, it's a little bit higher right now. Bitcoin is pumping. But we were talking about how hard it was to get above that 55 and then shot up there. And now it's right back into that range. It's below the levels of resistance, or what was once support, now it's resistance. And you're seeing this alt market just go absolutely insane. Now, I think that there is a bit of this skew that we've talked about, obviously, with Tether. That doesn't mean that it doesn't allow a lot of these alts to pump. So Bitcoin obviously approaching that $100,000 level. Do I think it could push up a little bit from here, as dominance rises? The thing that we need to keep an eye on is this, right? It's a triangle pattern. And as we've watched Bitcoin in the past few days, it's been, or not even just the past few days, but every time it gets to these triangle patterns, it breaks out of them. So it's probably a push to the upside. Doesn't have to. There's a huge sell wall at 100K. As Bitcoin's pushing up here, it doesn't surprise me that a lot of money was moved onto the Coinbase exchange that the U.S. government probably had, right? Getting closer to that 100K level, maybe that's where they take a little bit of profit. Maybe they wait and they take a little bit of profit above 100K. I don't necessarily know what the move is, but I would expect if we did break from this, you're probably going to be looking north of 105,000 to maybe 106, 107, maybe a little higher than that.
Kevin, we're going straight to $1 million.
It's very possible, not to $1 million right now, but it's very possible that you could get break out of this and push to the upside. Maybe I'm being bullish. Maybe that's the contrarian. Maybe I am bullish on Bitcoin right now. I don't think anyone wants to hear that. That being said,
that's
looking at ETH
right there.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at ETH, we talked about it, I think, on Monday, going to that $4,000, the $4,100 level to get that triple top. It's on its way, right? So it's very possible we get that triple top and it doesn't break above it, or if it does break up, put in a little bit of high, and then you get some of that reversal. If that reversal loses, the tops of this, so somewhere around that 39 or so level, there's a good chance that could be, a huge distribution playing out right there. Be no different than the distribution that we saw on the Bitcoin front in that in the recent waves. Right now, obviously, a little bit of distribution we still believe fits that one Elliott wave theory, or not Elliott wave theory, the Wyckoff distribution pattern. So a lot of things are happening here. It seems like alts have room to run. Obviously, you're seeing things like AVAX. You're seeing a lot of these pushes to the upside.
Let's go to BNB. And what in God's name?
I mean, I'm not even upset anymore.
When did he get out? And I want to see how much it's moved since he got out?
He went to jail in April, got out in like September, October, right? So I want to say he got out in like September. So let's say end of September, maybe let's say middle of September, 537 or so. So, to the height of where it went, about 51% move.
September 29th.
Oh, fuck me, man. So it was the date that I said right here. It's right here. It's the bottom of this move, the 29th. And then from there to there, it's probably height, 45% move to where we currently are, 36% move. Now, does BNB matter? No. Fucking one exchange uses it. No one else really does. And if you do see anyone on Twitter that says that they use BNB, check how many followers they have. I'm sure it's 0, or if it's 1, it's probably CZ himself. We've gone through this so many times before about the influencers that are out there that were just diehards, literally freaking would do anything for BNB, eat ass. Outside of that, not financial advice. Outside of that, when we look at some of these things, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the Tether coin is pushing up because of Tether prints, right? It's the same thing when we look at Tron. The interesting thing one that is Solana, because there is a lot of VC money behind Solana. So seeing that pullback that we've got from the top, people are just getting out at the highs. So a lot of people are pushing that price up that probably didn't get out in time back in 2022, FTX. Yeah. All these years are blurred now. That didn't get out then. And so, the price got back to where it was, taking profit. If anyone wants to push it up, be their guest. I don't think they're rebuying into that market. XRP is the funny one, too. I mean, this is just insane. It's pulled back a little bit from the highs, right? It went all the way to about 289. I know people who sold right before this, and I feel so sorry. I feel so sorry for them. Again, I've sold XRP right before fucking pumps. I've also been on the wrong side of a short when XRP pumped back in that SEC case in 2023. But you're just getting these absolute giga pumps that are happening across the entire crypto sector. I mean, really, what coin isn't pumping right now, right? There's very few. Tether right now, dominance is the only thing I'm seeing red on the day. I mean, XRP a little bit too, but compared, if you look at this on the weekly or the monthly, I mean, come on. Weekly candle, kind of concerning there, though. When you look at XRP, obviously it's kind of looks like it sold off a lot of resistance up here around the $2.92, $3 range. Cardano, fuck that thing. Shooting up like crazy. No one uses Cardano. I know a lot of people, I like Cardano, but no one uses it. Come on, let's be honest. And I don't think the Cardano NFT marketplace is enough to bring the market up this much. People are just excited about money being out there, seeing a lot of money flow back and forth. And again, we have to understand that before the government comes in and obviously makes this somewhat of a friendly ecosystem for. So in the US, there's a lot of people out there that had a lot of money riding on some of this shit. So I'm not surprised if big money is taking advantage of these pumps, or if they're pushing it up because they think, hey, I'd rather have a huge market share now before January 20th when things start going into effect and you start seeing a lot more money coming into the markets. Will that happen? I don't know. I really don't. Outside of that, I have nothing else to look at on the, oh my goodness, look at this shit. Okay, we got to look at this real quick. Look at the total market cap of crypto.
That C wave isn't looking too hot at the moment.
No, not at all. So what you would probably, I mean, this is what we can say now about this. See, it's either this and we get in a regular correction and it just comes down to somewhere like that. Very possible. Or we are just wrong. And by we, I mean me, in terms of where this could be. This could be something like that. But, for the time being, given what's happened here, I expect this still to be an ABC. Just looks irregular to me at this time. On the weekly, you're at 100 and 100 for the entire total crypto market cap. How much was added since the election? Wow, 60%, 60.64% added to the entire total crypto market cap. Bastards. That's all I can say. That's insane. That's really insane, guys. Institutional money or Tether. That's all I can say. just wild to me to see this continue to push up. I don't know many people who have a lot of money on hand right now. I still see people bitching about everything out there.
Yeah,
But retail, if they're going to get out,
we've been saying, and I've been saying for a while, that this is not a retail driven cycle. This is
institutional.
The stars are aligning for this to be an institutional, and even, with a lot of these countries beginning to adopt Bitcoin and the states in the US. And here's the thing. If Trump goes back on his word and this Bitcoin reserve doesn't happen, then look out. That will wipe out an incredible amount of gains. So the institutions that are adopting this, that is what is driving it. We're seeing it with ETH now. Like we talked the other day, that ETH was set up to go on a run because the ETH ETFs are beginning to get more volume. And we're seeing it play out right now. It's about to get to, it's hugging 3,900. 4K is going to happen soon. I
have
think
2 questions.
I was accumulating last year, and I feel very good about the positions I'm holding right now. I wish I would have trusted myself even more, but that's neither here nor there. We can't live in the past. But yeah, go ahead with your 2 questions, and then we'll begin to wrap it up.
Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily saying that this is not a real pump. My question is 2 things. One, I guess I forgot the first question, so let's just go to the second one. Is it possible that the U.S. ends up creating a space for crypto that is so obviously not controlled, but they have so much oversight over the entire market that you start to see a lot of things break before they get fixed, and they can regulate a lot of the way the future ecosystem is going to be, right? That's my question, I guess. Is it possible that they want to have not Tether be out there, but have say USDC be the leading one?
Is it possible the U.S. government screws something up? Yes. The answer to that question is a resounding yes. I feel
I guess under the Trump administration is, I think, what I was asking.
Also, yes.
I think it's very possible, and that people are excited about Trump and the pro-crypto administration. I also think it's very interesting to see that people are pro-government oversight for an industry. They're saying they're not going to tax your gains, which I think for the most part is what people are happy about. Obviously, people want to keep more of what they make, especially when you're seeing fucking gains like we have for the past month since this guy got elected. But I don't necessarily know if it's going to be to a point where they're going to realize that when things get regulated, it's probably going to be a lot less of the Wild West, where it was easier to make money back in the day. I do think that institutions obviously are coming in. We are going to see a lot of money flow into these. I just don't necessarily know if something bad's going to happen before that. And that's kind of, I guess, what my first question was: are people piling into this trade, really excited, and then what happens at the top? Like you said, if he goes back on his word or something like that, that causes them to crash, or the market starts to pull back a little bit. What's the fallout from that, especially from the administration? Bitcoin eats shit and a lot of people lose money. Does Trump go back on his word? He's a very irrational person at times, where he could just tweet something or say something, and it's oh, okay, well, that kind of fucked my bags. It's happened before, guys.
That is true. It has happened before. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. We will not be back on Friday. Kevin has some work commitments, but we will be back next week. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Appreciate you for joining us today. If you haven't yet and you're still watching, subscribe, drop a comment. All of that is appreciated. Stay safe in the markets. Enjoy the run. Maybe if you're taking, here's a reminder: if you're taking screenshots of your balances, take a little bit of profit off the table, okay? Go on a little vacation, maybe get a massage. I don't know. But just don't let it all ride if you're getting this excited about the market. That's all I'm going to say. So appreciate you for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.
Take care and watch out for margin calls.